Have you thought about buying Canon's RF extenders for your mirrorless system, but you are not sure whether it would be a good investment? I've recently purchased both the RF 1.4 and 2-time extenders and extensively used them in the field in combination with both of my RF 100 to 500 and RF 400mm lenses. In this video, I will list some positive and negative aspects of my experience using them, and I will also tell you what to be aware of before buying either one of them. At the end of the video, I will give you my opinion if RF extenders are a good investment, and I will also give you my 3 top tips of getting the best results using extenders in general, whether these be for DSLR or mirrorless systems. My name is Charl and I'm a professional wildlife photographer for Pangolin Photo Safaris. My job is to help my clients getting the best shots while on safari, including advice on camera gear. If you like to join our growing community of wildlife photography enthusiasts, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. For those of you that are new to the world of photography, an extender, also known as a teleconverter, is a compact device that fits between your camera body and lens, giving you a greater telephoto effect than a lens alone. And if you haven't got a super high megapixel camera where you can easily crop an image in post, extenders are essential bits of kit to have in your camera bag. Typically you get 2 types, a 1.4 and a 2-time extender that magnify the image created by the respected values. For example, with my current setup of a Canon R3 and an RF 400 2.8 lens, using a 1.4 teleconverter would magnify the lenses 400mm with 1.4, which means that the focal length becomes 560mm. When using my 2-time extender on the same setup, I will get the focal length of 800mm. Pretty amazing for such a small and compact device. So the most obvious advantage of using the teleconverters is getting that extra reach. But for me, the most positive aspect of using the RF extenders is the fact that autofocus and tracking works exceptionally well. This wasn't always the case when using extenders in the past on my DSLR system. Especially when using the 2-time extender, autofocus was slow and, depending on the lens camera combination, restricted to the center focus point only. It was also not uncommon to experience focus hunting and therefore missing shots. In wildlife photography, where you must be fast, this is obviously a major drawback. But this is all history now, because the subject snaps instantly into focus and is tracked across the entire frame. A massive advantage of the mirrorless system in combination with the RF extenders. Another positive is the improved image quality. Both RF extenders produce images with good sharpness and detail. For me, this is most noticeable when looking at the images taken with the RF 2-time extender versus images taken with my DSLR and my old 2-time EF extender. Although not major, the improved sharpness is noticeable, and I find myself now using the 2-time extender way more than before. I just love having 800mm at f5.6 at my disposal, which helps me get those great bird portraits with beautiful buttery smooth backgrounds. And again, in my opinion, the sharpness is great for the money spent. It is by no means the same as having an 800mm prime lens, but if you consider the price difference, ease of use and transport, a 2-time RF extender is a great option. And to show you that both teleconverters also deliver a decent image quality in combination with the popular RF 100 to 500mm lens, here are some examples. Okay, now to the negatives. Same as before, not every frame turns out to be tack sharp, and in crucial action scenario, it could be that the most important frame in the sequence isn't the sharpest. Something one must know. But then again, this is also true when using tracking without a teleconverter. I generally have enough frames in a burst that are satisfactory, and I believe that I have a far higher keeper rate using the RF extenders on my mirrorless system than the EF extenders on my DSLR system. You should also be aware that the teleconverter will change the maximum aperture of the lens it is mounted on. That is nothing new, but still important to consider, in particular when using the RF 100 to 500 f4.5 to 7.1 lens. With the RF 1.4 extender, the maximum aperture will be f10, and pairing it with the RF 2-time extender, the maximum aperture will be reduced to f14 if the lens is used in full zoom. This can make it quite challenging in low light situation, as the camera ISO will need to be quite high to compensate. And although I was raving earlier about the autofocus performance, in low light or backlight situation, focus hunting sometimes occurs. Far less though than on my DSLR system, and overall I am very happy with the autofocus performance. The biggest disadvantage of using the RF extenders on the mirrorless systems is the fact that they are not usable with all lenses. The small and compact design of mirrorless lenses comes with the price that there is simply no space to make teleconverters fit. This applies, for example, to the RF 70 to 200 mm, which is a shame as it used to be a popular combination on the EF system. Even with the RF 100 to 500, you need to zoom the lens to a minimum of 300 mm in order to move the rear optical elements enough to fit the extenders. It is physically not possible to use them at the lower end of the lens zoom range, which means you can't use the lens for wider shots between 100 to 300 mm. Although this limits the use of the RF extenders to mainly RF prime lenses and just a few zoom lenses at this time, I am hopeful that we will see more wildlife orientated lenses released soon that will be capable of pairing with the extenders. Personally, I'm pleased that I invested in both RF extenders, as I only have 24 million pixel camera and heavy cropping is not ideal. I know that they are not cheap, but certainly more affordable than a 600mm or 800mm prime lens and easy to fit into my camera bag. Both the autofocus performance and image quality in combination with my full frame mirrorless camera, my RF 400mm f2.8 prime lens, as well as my RF 100 to 500 f4.5 to 7.1 lens are suiting my needs as a wildlife photographer. I can highly recommend anyone that has a compatible mirrorless lens to get either one or both RF extenders. I bought a 1.4 extender first to see whether I like it before purchasing the 2-time extender as well. With the beautiful bird life here in Chobe, I do however find myself using the latter more. Now let me give you 3 tips that I think you will find useful whether you are using EF or RF extenders. Number 1. Don't shoot wide open apertures. As with any lens, stopping the aperture down a bit helps with image sharpness, and the same applies to using your lens with the extenders. So for example, when I use my 400mm f2.8 lens in combination with my 1.4 extender, the maximum aperture becomes f4. However, I most often shoot on f6.3, which increases the depth of field slightly and hits the sweet spot of the lens for optimal image sharpness. When I use the RF 2x extender, I even stop down to f8. Tip number 2. Use a shutter speed of double your focal length. I found that even when the animal you photograph is stationary, it helps to use a fast shutter speed, avoiding any camera shake during the exposure. So in this same example of using my 400mm lens with the 1.4 extender on my focal length becomes 560, which means the minimum shutter speed I use will be 1250 of a second. And finally, tip number 3. Shoot on high speed continuous. As mentioned earlier, I do have a couple of soft frames within a burst, so having my camera set to high speed shooting will help increase my success rate considerably. As always, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you own any of the RF extenders yourself, let me know in the comments how you like them. Until next time, and happy shooting.